Hey, what's going on everyone? Axel here. I know it's been a little while since I've uploaded a video on this channel. I'll get into that in just a minute, but this video is going to be primarily about the two gaming topics, console gaming topics I've been most interested in the past few months, and that's the Xbox One X and the SNES Classic. Before I get into those, I want to talk about my channel a little bit. If you don't care about that and you just want to skip to the Xbox One X or the SNES Classic Edition thoughts, then you can just skip to the timestamps that are listed below and you'll go right to what you want to hear. But let's start with my channel. I've been in a little bit of a YouTube crisis, I guess I could say, because I have two different channels. For those of you who aren't aware, I know some of you are viewers of my D&D channel, my DDO channel, but essentially what I've been doing is I've kind of been going back and forth about which channel I want to primarily focus on. The D&D channel is primarily about Dungeons and Dragons Online, a video game that I love and I'm really interested in, and that's great, and I really love doing those videos. But I also have a lot of other console interests because I'm a big console gamer as well. I originally wanted to put all my videos, I was thinking about putting all my videos just on one channel, but I don't think that's right for the audience I have on the Dungeons and Dragons channel, because that channel is very specific. It's about DDO, Dungeons and Dragons Online, and that's it. And I didn't want to introduce other videos into that channel for a couple reasons. One, because I think that the audience I have on that channel doesn't really want to hear about anything else, and two, I am registered as a fan site of DDOs, and I don't want to start throwing videos that aren't about DDO on there. So I thought the easiest thing to do would be to create this other channel for my for the console things I want to talk about. So that's what I've been doing, and I for a while was really focused on this channel. Like I think as you guys saw the last probably like 2-3 months ago, I was uploading videos all the time on this channel, and that since has shifted a bit because I've gotten really into my D&D channel, and that's why I haven't uploaded to this channel as much, because I've been uploading a lot the past month on my D&D channel. And you know, the way it is I just don't have time sometimes to do both. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to upload on both channels. I just don't know when, and when I'll have gaps in uploads and stuff. As of right now, I've kind of flipped, because a few months ago I thought that primarily I was going to be focused on this channel, the channel I'm talking about right now, the console gaming channel. I thought that's what I was going to do, and just do that from now on and just do a DDO video every once in a while. But ever since a month ago, I've gotten my passion for doing the D&D videos has really come back, and I really enjoyed doing them. So as of right now, I'm primarily going to do the D&D videos. And if you want to look at my videos over there, just go to my YouTube homepage. It's listed there, or I'll just throw a link under in the description about that, so you can look at that if you don't watch those videos. But yeah, I'm going to primarily do the D&D videos. I think that's what my mindset is right now. At least it could change. It already changed once. It could change again. But right now I'm going to continue to upload regularly to the D&D channel, and for this console gaming channel, I'm probably just going to make a video when I really feel like there's something I really am passionate about and want to talk about, or two, when I just have a video of something, maybe a grab bag topic that just doesn't fit on my D&D channel. Like I want to make a Star Trek video, for example, and I actually already have talking points written out for it. I just haven't gotten around to it because we have Star Trek Discovery coming out, and I'm a huge Trekkie. I love Star Trek, so I wanted to make a couple Star Trek videos. I've been thinking about doing a couple like music album reviews of music albums that have come out this year that I'm really passionate about and I really like. So we'll see what happens. So on this channel, stay subscribed. I just don't know how often I'll upload. But as of right now, you'll get a video probably every once in a while about console gaming topics, and that's still going to be the focus of this channel. It'll be primarily console gaming stuff, but I'll also probably throw in just a grab bag videos too, just of random topics. And I've done that before, like I talked about like dieting before. So yeah, so that's the plan for now. So let's get into the primary topics of this video. The first one I want to talk about is, let's go ahead and talk about the Xbox One X first. The Xbox One X was primarily, formerly known as Project Scorpio. It's Microsoft's big new console that isn't really a new console because it's still an Xbox One. It's just an upgraded version, and it continues this trend of the big console companies, Sony and Microsoft, doing these incremental upgrades. In the past, they've never done that. Like, they've made they've made better versions of the consoles, but they've just been kind of a more refined version, but they've never actually bumped the hardware up significantly. Like with the PS3, there was the PS3 Slim, there was the PS2 Slim. The Xbox 360 had slim versions, had a lot of different versions of the Xbox 360. So this has never really happened before. And I think bottom line is, I'm not a fan of the Xbox One X. I don't really like what they're doing here. First of all, the price is $499, and I predicted that, by the way, and I thought this, I was perfect. I thought that's exactly what it was going to be. It's kind of too high for just your random everyday person to go in and grab, even your console fans to go just grab. Like, say if someone has a PS4 already, they're probably not going to go get an Xbox One X because $500 is a lot of money. So that's probably not going to happen. So I think this only appeals to a very niche audience of kind of your super hardcore fans who want who will spend $500 just to get a little bit of upgrade. Because I think that your more casual person who just wants an Xbox will look and see that, you know, why would I get an Xbox One X when it doesn't have exclusive games and I can pay half the price? Because you can get 2 Xbox One S's for the price of an Xbox One X. And if you look even further into the resale market or the refurbished market, like my Xbox One Fat in the right behind me, I got that thing for $160 on Black Friday. 1 terabyte, by the way, 1 terabyte Xbox One I got on Black Friday of 2016. And so, you know, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, I don't think, when there's not exclusive games. But overall, I think that the Xbox One X is a lose-lose situation for Xbox fans, because one or two things are going to happen. If it is really successful, then the people like me who own the smaller versions are going to get screwed, because if this thing is ultra successful, then they're going to make exclusive games for it. I know they're saying they're not, but like I discussed in some of the videos I made a couple months ago, they're not going to do that. Like, they're not going to stick to that. If this thing is super successful, what's going to happen is a AAA developer is going to come to them, like, say maybe Bethesda wants to make Skyrim 6 and utilize all these extra features in the Xbox One X. It's not like Microsoft is going to, or maybe EA or some other big developer comes along and wants to utilize that extra power, and they don't want to make it for the lower consoles. They just want to make the game for, say, like the Pro and the X. Like, Microsoft's not going to say no. So they're going to bend to that eventually if the thing is really successful, and they'll come up with some excuse like, oh my gosh, we want to give you, the fans, what you want. We want to give you 4K gaming. That's what everyone wants. So in order to do that, we're going to have to make it exclusive. And we care about you fans so much, we're going to offer you an exclusive trade-in deal, get an extra $20 if you trade in your S for an X, something like that. They'll come up with some way to some kind of corporate speak to make it all right with the consumer. But I think if it's really successful, that will happen. So in that situation, a lot of fans are going to get screwed, because we're essentially going to be forced to upgrade if we want to continue to play the high-end AAA games, if it's really successful. Now, if it's not successful, then essentially what's going to happen is everyone, first of all, anyone who bought it is going to be screwed, because they are going to end up paying for a console that really isn't going to give them their money's worth, because it's not going to have enough like 4K. Because if this thing's not successful, they're not going to make as many high-end exclusives that really utilize that power as they would have if it was successful. And the other thing is, we're all going to be kind of the whole Xbox community, and really the whole console gaming community, including the PS4, because they did the same thing with the PS4 Pro, just to a lesser extent because it's not as powerful. But we're all going to be screwed, because now these companies are going to have to support this hardware, whether it's successful or not. They're going to have to support it for many years to come. If they would have instead just not done this and just come out with a Xbox 2 or PS5 in like 2 or 3 years, then at that time we could have actually gotten the full developer support behind the new hardware. Now what's going to happen is we're going to be held back. The console gaming community is going to be held back, because they're going to have to make baseline versions. As long as these things don't have exclusive games, they're going to have to make the games work on the lesser hardware, so the games are all going to be gimped as a result on console. Whereas if we would have just moved on to the Xbox 2 and the PS5, we would have had full support behind making a true like 4K gaming games with all this extra power that would have been in the next generation of consoles. They're not. Our games are going to be gimped essentially for like 2 or 3 years while they're going to be forced to support these things. And I think that's what's going to happen, because what I think is going to happen with the Xbox One X is it's not going to do that well, because if you've watched the PS4 sales, that's PS4 Pro sales, that's not done like too hot either. I think it's going to do just okay, and I think that as a result, it's not going to. I don't know if we're going to see exclusive games on it, but I don't think it's going to do well enough to the point that all the support is going to move behind the new versions of the consoles. So I think we're going to end up getting gimped games for 2 or 3 years longer than if we would have just moved on to the PS2, PS5 and the Xbox 2 in maybe 2020 or something. So all in all, yeah, I wish they would have just held off with these things, because personally I'm not interested in it as long as it doesn't have exclusive games, because I don't really see the point. If it doesn't have exclusive games, then I don't care enough about the upgrade to spend the extra money. Like, as long as the game works, like, I'm fine with 1080p. I don't have an issue with 1080p. I'm fine with that. I actually don't even own a 4K television, so I wish they would have just held off and waited until the television market is fully behind 4K, and then just released 4K consoles that are a new generation in like 2020 or something. All right, now let's talk about let's move to the SNES Classic Edition, because this was announced just this week, and I will admit that I was completely wrong about this. I made a video several months ago saying I didn't think the SNES Classic Edition was coming, and I listed all my reasons. I didn't think that Nintendo cared enough about the Western market's demand for this thing to make another one, but I guess I think what they're doing is they're kind of just giving in to pressure and making another edition of this. They do see that there's money to be made, although I think they still would rather get customers to buy the Switch, which is, I think that's what we're seeing here. I think there'll be a very limited release run of the SNES Classic Edition. I think, as far as, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think I remember hearing that the SNES Classic has been announced to only be a fall release. So after December, I think it is, of 2017, they're going to stop releasing it. And they're doing that because they want people to buy the Switch. They don't want to focus just on old games, retro gaming. They want people to get a Switch and then hopefully buy games on Virtual Console. And that's actually the one bad thing about this release, is I feel like this might hold back the Switch Virtual Console, because why would they release the Switch Virtual Console at the same time as the SNES Classic Edition? You know, you're cannibalizing yourself there. So I don't know if, I think this might actually end up pushing back the Virtual Console on the Switch. But one thing I am right, I think I am right about, and this is one thing that I did mention in our prior videos. I said that if they do make this thing, it's going to be a limited release. And mark my words, this is going to be a limited release. They will probably make more than they did the NES Classic, just so they can say that they made more, but they're still not going to make enough. I still think these things are going to be super scarce. I still think they're going to, if they release 3 per store last time, they're probably going to release like maybe 7 per store or something. They're going to release probably double or triple, but it's still going to all sell out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm personally not interested in one, just because I already own most of those games I own already on cartridge or on Virtual Console on my Wii U, so I'm really not interested personally. The price, I didn't record a video on this channel, but I guessed it would be $80, and I was completely right about that. I thought that they would charge a little bit more, just because if you see how Nintendo prices its games in the Virtual Console, it's always priced the SNES games, I think it's $7.99, where it's always priced the NES games at $4.99. I kind of understand that, because the SNES games are more complicated than the NES games, so they took more man hours, presumably, to make. Like, for example, like, it takes more man hours to make like Donkey Kong Country than it takes to make, say, like Balloon Fight, obviously. So that's why they're pricing it higher. I still think they could have priced this even higher. They probably could have priced this thing at $100, and it still would be probably just as popular, which I think the price hints at the fact that this will be, again, limited release. The same thing's going to happen. There's going to be scalpers, and so So, and there's not going to be very many. I think it's going to be more obtainable, but it's still not really readily available. Like if you want one, you're going to have to go get one in the fall. And so let's talk about some of the games on it, because I think that the games that are on it actually really hit the ball out of the park. A lot of those games were kind of defined my childhood personally, like Super Mario World. Probably I would say probably my one. I don't know if I'd say it was my favorite, but certainly one of my favorites. I think my favorite childhood game was probably the Super Mario RPG. I love that game on Super Nintendo. And for those of you who don't know, I haven't watched my prior videos, Super Nintendo was my very first console that I ever got. When I was a little kid, my parents bought me the bundle with I think it was the bundle with Super Mario World plus Super Mario All-Stars, and that game alone, I spent so many hours playing that game. But what other games? I think there's been some backlash as to why they only included Super Mario World and they didn't include Super Mario Brothers All-Stars. I think the reason for that is because they already put those games on the NES, and they don't want to kind of slap those customers in the face who already bought the NES Classic by just a few months later putting the 16-bit upgraded versions on the SNES Classic. Plus, I don't think they really needed to, because they already have a ton of great games on this thing. Like, you know, all your main games like Zelda, like I already mentioned Donkey Kong Country. What else? Final Fantasy 3's I think's on this. Like Super Punch Out, Super Metroid, a lot of really great games. So I'm really not surprised by any of the games on here, nor am I really surprised by anything that's not included. I know there's a couple that people complained about, like I think Chrono Trigger was one. I think the number one game I would have liked to see on this thing that's not on it is Sim City, because I think that the lineup has a lot of platformer games, but it really lacks any like strategy type games. So I'd like to see that. But overall, like, this is a fantastic deal. If you're someone who doesn't own an SNES, or someone who doesn't have a lot of those cartridges, or maybe you're too young to have been alive or a gamer when the SNES was relevant, maybe you're someone who's like watching this and they're like 21 years old, then this is an excellent price. Or if you just never got into the SNES when it was relevant, like you get pretty much all the best games in a working system with two controllers, by the way, with longer cords. I don't think they're going to be super long still, but I think they're going to be like 5 feet long, probably long enough to where you can actually sit on your couch and play it, hopefully. So yeah, it's a fantastic deal, way cheaper than going out and getting the carts. Yeah, you can play the things on emulators or on a Raspberry Pi or whatever, but a couple things. One, that's a pain in the butt to download and put together. Two, it's not really legal. And three, the emulation is never going to be as good as the emulation done by just emulator people. It's just not going to be as good as the emulation done by Nintendo. So you're going to play like a much better version of the emulation on the SNES Classic. And yeah, it's emulation either way, but the people who emulate the SNES Classic know the games, they know the software. They'll do a great job. They did an amazing job with the NES Classic, so they'll do a great job with this. And just again, I guess point 4 is just a collectability. It's going to be a cool looking little mini SNES box. I think a lot of people, even if they don't want to play it, they're going to buy one just to put on their shelf and display. And 5, it's going to have an HDMI output. It's going to be really convenient. So there's a lot of good reasons to buy it, even if you don't want it. And I guess 6 is the thing's not going to depreciate. When you buy the thing, as long as you keep it in working order, you're going to be able to sell it years from now for probably a lot more than you paid for it. So it's a good investment either way. So I think it's a great thing to buy if you're interested. I think it's great. You should go and try to get one. I personally already own most of those games. I've actually already played through those games. A lot of those games, like half those games at least. A ton. So I don't really feel a need to go out and buy it, but I think if you want it, you know, you should definitely go after it. So guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any other comments, or I guess any suggestions for future videos, anything like that, just please comment below, let me know. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope if you did enjoy the content to subscribe, or at least throw me a like, and maybe check out my other channel, which I'll also link in the description below here. So that's gonna be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Take care.